Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome back to Top Step TV. This is the opening call. I'm Coach Jay. That is John the Goat Hoagland, and we got JD on the other side. And we're here to prep you for your trading day like we are every day. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Hoag, JD, how you guys feeling this morning?
Good. Jay, it's good to be here. Happy Monday, everyone. Great to be back in the saddle with all of you. Jay, good to see you. JD, good to see you. How's everybody feeling? Jay, I'm going to ask you first this morning. How are you feeling, buddy?
Feeling great, Hoag. Feeling great. Good to go. Had a good weekend. Spent some time with some friends, some family, but ready to get back to work. Ready to get back to work. JD, how's it going over there?
Excellent. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Hoag. Good morning to my friends and traders in the chat. Dealing with some tech gremlins early this morning. My apologies. That's why we're starting late. It was my fault. I'm taking the blame. But we made it. Happy Monday, everyone. Here we go. We got that poll up in the chat.
I caught him.
Nice, Hoag. Nice. Looks like we're taking the 5-minute. I don't even know why I asked.
We are taking the 5-minute.
I thought maybe the no trade would spice things up a little, but it's not. We gotta think of something. But I've got the micro gold up, loaded for a Finsky, and we'll take that 5-minute opening range. What did the 1 minute do? Anything?
Triggered along.
Triggered along in the 1 minute. Mark that down.
3-minute no trade yet. And if you're asking what trade we're talking about, we take the gold and crude oil opening range trades every morning. We are asking the chat, are we taking a 1, 3, 5-minute or no trade? 5-minute usually wins. And gold opens up at 7:20 Central Time. We're looking to take a long above the high or a short below the low of that opening range. Right now in the 5-minute opening range, we still got about a minute for it to play out. I got a high of 34.1570 and a low of 34.1490. Oh, nope. 34.1430. 34.1430.
Okay, 34.1420 in the micro, 34.1580. 34.15 high, 34.1420 low. Off by a tick. All right. 30 more seconds for this opening 5-minute candle.
16 tick opening range in the micros, 14 tick opening range in the GC.
Twenty seconds here. Let's take a look at the tilt here. See if we got anything in 60% long. So maybe we got some traders taking that 1-minute opening range trade. How are you feeling about this trade, Hoag? Where we are context wise?
Context wise, I mean, we don't really have any overnight inventory. We're right in the middle of the area of value. It was a kind of a P-shaped profile on Friday after Powell started speaking. The market rallied and then just consolidated up at the highs, and we're right in the middle of that consolidation. I think it's kind of a coin flip here. Are we going to start kind of looking higher into the previous session gap that we have above, or are we going to look into the single prints below the overnight session low here? Let's call the overnight session low 34.05 half. We could kind of eat up all those single prints like Pac-Man on the way down, all the way down to 33.7880.
JD, do we get triggered there on the micros? The minis didn't break.
Nope, nothing.
Nope.
All
right, cool.
I'm going to work our stops to enter below 34.1410. I'll put it in. And our stop to enter above at 34.1590.
They could have chosen the 3-minute today. It wouldn't have made a difference. We're still inside.
Would not have made a difference.
Nope.
Yep. And we're triggered into a short. 34.1390. Took 2 ticks of slippage on that entry.
House count is short 5 micro gold from 34.1390. The low of that opening range was 14.30 in the minis. A little bit lower in the micros. 55% long tilt in gold right now. Let's see how this trade plays out. Oftentimes, it can be the trend for the day. Where we see the opening range set the dead ass high or low of the market,
Hmm.
and we hold on to it. We'll see what today brings in gold. We'll get a quick look at those charts in just a minute. But JD, any news we want to cover before we get to that?
Yeah, let's take a look at the eco calendar for the week. Start off with that. We've got quite a bit going on this week. Today, 9 o'clock Central Time, new home sales. Well, before that, 7:30. We got a small number coming out at the bottom of the hour here. Chicago Fed National Activity Index coming out at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Bottom of the hour, about 3 minutes from now. New home sales at 9 o'clock Central Time. Then we got a couple talking Feds. Lori Logan at 2:15, and John Williams is speaking later tonight, 6:15 Central Time. Tomorrow, a couple of key notes. Durable goods at 7:30. The big number for tomorrow, consumer confidence at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time. Also a 2-year note auction later in the afternoon. On Wednesday, our number for the day will be that 5-year note. Wednesday, 5-year note auction, 12 o'clock Central Time. There's also a couple talking Feds sprinkled in throughout the day on Wednesday. And as always, EIA petroleum status report. Thursday is a big day for numbers. We got GDP, jobless claims, corporate profits, pending home sales, EIA natural gas report. A lot of housing data coming out this week. Theme for the week will be housing data and inflation. Friday, another big day. International trade in goods and the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the personal income and outlays number. Personal consumption expenditures, the PCE report. That'll be joined by retail inventories, wholesale inventories, Chicago PMI, and the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment. And don't forget about that Baker Hughes rig count to close out the week. That's what we're seeing on the eco calendar. So plenty of stuff packed into the week on the economic front. Plus, I'm expecting some headlines. There's a lot of moving parts out there, as everybody knows. Trump's going to be signing some executive orders at 9 o'clock this morning. He might find a camera and a microphone after that, so we'll keep you posted on any headlines that come from that. But again, nothing major coming out this morning until 9 o'clock. New home sales at 9 o'clock Central Time today. That's your update on the eco calendar.
No major earnings today. We are looking forward to the NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after the close. That will be the largest earnings in the world, in the entire world. We also on Wednesday have some retail, Williams-Sonoma and Kohl's before the open. Hewlett-Packard after the close on Wednesday as well. Best Buy on Thursday, as well as Dick's Sporting Goods Thursday before the open. Dell after the close. And Alibaba on Friday before the close. But those are just the majors. Getting pretty close to the end of earnings season now. See how those come out.
The end of earnings season, which leads to the beginning of earnings season. Seems like it's always earnings season. We take like a 2-week break, and then we're back to earnings. House is short 5 micro gold from 34.1390. 5 micro is pretty much right here, right now, where we are. JD, any news we want to hit before we get into the charts? We got some news on Intel.
Yeah, sure. We could do a little recap. Yes, some news on Intel. U.S. is putting together quite the stake in Intel, 10%. President Trump came out and announced this on Friday. Got a little video clip sort of recapping that. But we have taken out a huge interest in Intel.
They've had some bad management over the years, and they got lost. And I said, I think you should pay us 10% of your company. And they said, yes. That's about $10 billion. I don't get it. This comes to the United States of America. And I said, I think it would be good having the United States as your partner. He agreed. And they've agreed to do it. And I think it's a great deal for them. And I think it's a great deal. He walked in wanting to keep his job, and he ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States. So we picked up $10 billion. And we do a lot of deals like that. I'll do more of them.
These numbers I got from CNBC, the actual numbers are that the government made an $8.9 billion investment in Intel common stock, purchasing 433.3 million shares at a price of $20.47 per share. That would make a 10% stake in the company. Intel also noted that the price the government paid was a discount to the current market price. So almost a $9 billion investment in Intel. And it popped 6% that day. So it's worth $11 billion now. Good day for the federal government, I guess.
Yeah. Why did they tell us ahead of time?
Yeah, right? I feel like they were teasing it for a little while before they actually did it. Because we were hearing rumors about it. But, yeah, then they actually pulled the trigger. So he was trying to give us a heads up, I think. Oh, well. We're almost at
You
1
better buy
hour
stocks.
on this.
Got to tell us which one.
Yeah, right? More specific. We need more details. We're
Trade's
just
looking
about
good in
1
gold here.
hour. Looking real good so far. I'll peel a couple
62%
off.
short in the tilt.
Peel a couple off at 1.5, maybe 2 hour. We'll see how it looks in a few minutes. But decent fall through the downside.
Yeah, we're right at overnight VWAP. 34.11.10.
Yes, I've got that marked on my chart also. 34.11.10.
Let's take that out, take out the overnight lows, and start peeling off those single prints like Pac-Man. So far, looking good, though. So far, looking good.
In it for $100 so far. All right, let's get into it.
All right. It's Monday. Starting with the
Yes, it
weeklies.
is.
So, yes, weeks, months of range-bound activity, higher lows, mostly lower highs. The market is tightening in its current range, but it is also smack dab in the middle of its current range. The market is still looking for new information, narrowing balance, price central on the weekly, onto the daily. Still showing range-bound activity and showing typical activity or behavior for a range-bound market. Trading low to high, high to low, recently tested down to the low, rotating back to the upside. Friday, we added 10,000 in open interest coming off of those lows. And so I think the first open interest increase in last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all lower open interest, losing open interest, probably squeezing out some longs. And once those longs are out, that selling power is gone. And then we start to see the buyers coming back in. So we're really just looking at a rotational market here. We're really, I mean, looking at the 50 session, the 100 session, the 20 session, all those moving averages now becoming braided because we are again in range bound activity. Jay, what are your thoughts here on the daily the daily here in gold?
On the daily Hoag, like you said, very much in that range. We are seeing a little bit of separation now between the 20 and the 50 moving average. They were kind of braided around each other, but they might get back to that with us trading right back into the middle of this range. This is that area where we've seen the market consolidate a lot, right? We've seen range expansion when we trade away from the middle of this range. But we're kind of right back to the middle now. This 3,400 level is where gold likes to get stuck. And right now we're trading, 34.11s. I'm bullish until we hit the top of that top of that range, Hoag. We were talking about making higher lows on that daily, where that most recent low went from 33.20s up to 33.50s. But we have those equal highs up at the top, right? We're testing into the middle of this range right now. Do we push into 35.30s this week is what I'd be looking at in gold. And just looking for that pattern to continue until it breaks. But right now we are right in the middle. I think I lost your audio, Hoag.
So
There we go.
that sounds juicy. I like that the sound of those 34.50s, 30 even higher than that, right? I mean, we're looking at, well, that sounds juicy. Not in our current position though. We don't want that right now. We're currently
not
short.
right now. Not right now. Pull back first, give the buyers an opportunity, and then we can rally.
All right. So overnight inventory. Here's where we opened last night. Here's where we are currently trading. You could say to some degree that there was a little bit of overnight inventory to the short side. Now, the single prints from Friday. Where does that take us? Well, let's take a quick look and put in a couple of lines here. So the single prints from Friday start 3409.60 and they finish 3378.80. This is a 30-minute bar with single TPOs, single prints all the way up. Okay, this is going to be something to repair if that is in the cards. There's also a large session gap, John Jones. The high and low of that session gap is the upside 3477.30, the low end of it 3418.70. We did look into it on Friday. We did close back down below it just by a few tickies, just by a couple of ticks. So no real acceptance inside that gap. But if we do start to show signs of acceptance inside that gap, we have visual targets of unrechecked, naked points of chill, points of control, comfort levels from past days, 34, 33, 30, 34, 52, which is largely the weekly kickoff high, 34, 53. And as this markets continue to narrow, those weekly kickoff levels are going to get closer and closer to the current price. Then again, then we'd be looking to close that session gap, 34.77.30. That session gap goes from August 8th to August 11th. So the market opened and then broke below the previous session, set up a new session, creating that session gap. We'll see if we get that thing filled out anytime soon, and that would do a lot to kind of support Jay's theory of, seeing this market getting back up around that 3,500 level that we were just talking about. Jay, what do you think of the 30 right now?
On the 30, Hogue, looking at that same candle from Friday, that 30-minute candle on Friday when we had Powell speaking, we're accepting price back inside that candle, right? I have the high at 34.1270. For this short, you know me, Hogue, I'm looking at 50%, 33.9430 is that area there, and we'll see how the market responds. If we continue to see acceptance of price in this range, right? We do need to see some sellers here. They tried it in the overnight session, but we bounced and kind of held the high. Right now it looks decent, but 33.9430 would be that target. We also do have the 200 moving average down at 33.8460. So if we continue to sell, maybe a retest of that 200 moving average. But this looks good. I do like this short. At least for short time frame. On a higher time frame, I am looking for gold to kind of continue higher. So would just be thinking management as we come down to those 3400s, 3394.
Okay. Yeah, that halfway of that
Yep.
30-minute bar. Nice looking little target down there for shorts, for sure. All right, thank you, Jay. All right, so currently shorts, currently in the money just a little bit here. Again, the market had a P-shaped profile on Friday, which indicates short covering, but this was a little bit more than just short covering, ladies and gentlemen. This was short covering meets new business to the upside. Remember, 4 days in a row, we lost open interest as we were kind of waiting for this information, for this speech from Chairman Powell to see how he was going to kind of use his language to, maybe foreshadow a cut in rates. Who knows? There's still a lot of information coming out, but we're still kind of in that area of balance that we established after the move up. I mean, when you had the 30-minute bar, continuation, entry into the previous session gap, not really accepted, just kind of consolidating up here at a new level of comfort, you could say that this would be. We've got the point of control, the volume point of control on this platform right up here at 34.18. We've got We've got settlement here at 34.18.5. We've got the beginning of that session gap right up there again at 34.1870. I would certainly start to look at that as a little bit of confluence if price gets there. Really looking forward to seeing the market accept below this 34.0960, which is really the single prints. That's where they kind of end at the upside, looking for acceptance for a pushback down to Jay's level down here about halfway through that bar. 33.94 approximately, I think is where Jay was looking at. We shall see. So there's our brief look here this morning at gold. Remember, this is all about context, risk management, and patience. Hoping to add that context to your strategies so you can put together some really good hypotheses for your trading day today. All right, JD, what are we looking at?
What's up? Stock index futures down a little bit. Dow hit a record close on Friday. Did everybody know that? The Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures hit a record close on Friday. Whenever that happens, they show a picture of our old buddy up on the CNBC website too. There he is. But this morning, trading a little bit lower. Futures down 0.3%. S&P 500 futures down 0.3%, and Nasdaq futures down 0.4%. Overnight, stocks in Asia ripping higher. Closed higher, I should say. Shanghai Composite up 1.51%. The Nikkei up 0.41%. The Hang Seng Index up 1.94%. Big gains in Asia overnight. Stocks in Europe trading a little mixed this morning. Got the FTSE up 0.13%, the DAX down 0.22%, and the CAC down 0.64%. Currently, the U.S. dollar index is up about 0.2%, 97.91 last on the U.S. dollar index. The VIX up 6.5%, 15.14 on the VIX, and the yield on the 10-year Treasury note 4.285% this morning. Don't forget, we got a couple bond and note auctions coming out later in the week. Stay on your toes. They can be a little bit market moving every once in a while. All right, back to you guys. Tell us what the charts are saying.
All right. So the E-mini S&Ps, the S&P. So the weekly kickoff high and low remain the same. In Zeppelin speak, the song remains the same. No changes to those. No changes in market state last week. We did test 3 times, 3 different days down to this weekly kickoff low 63.68 with no acceptance below it, showing only rejection there. And then, of course, on Friday, seeing buyers coming in after Powell's speech. And the last time I will say Jackson Hole till next year was right there. That's the last time I will say it. All right. Let's look at the daily. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's changed the market state. This little pullback, I'm not worried about it. I'm not impressed by it. We're still seeing higher lows. We're still seeing higher highs. 3 days: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. U.S. 30 drag strip. No, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We tested that weekly kickoff low with no acceptance below it. So that proved to be a pretty important level. And then when we put in this low, that kind of increased the probability of 66.35, the weekly kickoff low, which is a measured move from here on the August 1st, which is around 63.69, 62.40 up to the all-time high 65.09, and you take that measurement and you go from there. And you will measure basically right to 66.35. Well, that's been there for 2 weeks. When we put in the low last week and do that measurement, that again kind of points out the importance and the possible focus of that price level. Now we're starting to come off a little bit off of last week's high. Last week we were unable to put in a new all-time high that did occur in extended trading hours. So, and here's that big jump in open interest. So we did see some good buying coming in, as long as some short covering, and we'll see that a little bit more clearly on the 30-minute chart. Jay, what do you think about this? Are we going higher, or what are we doing?
I think we're going higher, Hoag. How we get there is the question, right? We've talked pretty much all month about reluctant highs that these markets are making. We're less than 1% off the all-time high in the S&P. but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a retracement before we get there. On the daily, I'm looking at Friday's daily candle, 50% of that, 64.30 half. That 20 moving average is right down there as well. There was a point earlier in the month where we were, while we were rallying, we were not taking out prior day lows. And I think we might get back into that, right? Last week, obviously, was an anomaly. We had a down week last week before Friday. But I think we're back to that, Hoag. Let's see if buyers, if we found longer term buyers, we were looking for them pretty much all week. We got a decent pullback. That was about a 2% pullback off the all time high. So I think we're going up until we go down. Of course, anything can change the markets. Nvidia earnings, the market's going to be looking at Nvidia all week, or
Right.
maybe even waiting for that Nvidia earnings to come out. But I don't see a reason to continue selling off, especially after Friday. But of course, anything can change.
Right. All right. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here. All right. So there are a couple of things to point out. All-time high, 65.0875. It did occur in the overnight session, the extended trading hour session. Those tend not to be lasting highs, or in the case of lows. Here's our test last week to the weekly kickoff low. 1, 2, 3, rejection. Friday, we left a couple of levels to pull back to clean up any unfinished business. Let's take a look first at the overnight inventory. Overnight inventory is shortish. Yes, that is an industry term. We just put in a new overnight low, and we are in the single prints. Now, if I can, let me just do this. There's the single prints. Okay. So single prints from 64.72 down to 64.28. This one line here. Some folks would call that a fair value gap. It's all the same, just different wording. So if we start eating up these single prints down here, like Pac-Man, a visual target would be to where those single prints cease. Okay, 64.28. Now we've got another line of singles prior to when Powell started speaking, and those go from let me get this, 64.08 to 64.14 quarter. There's one nice little visual target down below, 63.91 quarter, a naked point of control, and then we get all the way down to that weekly kickoff low, 63.68. I don't necessarily see that happening. Overnight inventory is short. We're going to open. If we don't see continuation to the downside, this may be enough for some of those overnight weaker hands traders to get a little bit nervous and to bring us back up to settlement. But no gaps, no runs, no hits, no errors. Value or below, session value on this platform. So a rejection of higher value in that regard might be something interesting. But the only visuals that we have above would be last week's high, 64.96 and a quarter, 65.0875, previous all-time high that occurred in the extended trading hours, and then all the way up to 66.35 weekly kickoff high. I don't suggest that any of this is happening at any specific time, just context. Jay, your context. I know you're going to be looking at that 30-minute bar and the halfway mark. That on there.
Absolutely, Hoag. So 50% of that 30-minute bar is 64.50, which is whole number level. I would not be surprised to see the market respond there. And if the response that we get to that level, Hoag, is selling, the 200 moving average is down at 64.28. You guys are just paying attention. 64.28 is also a level that Hoag is looking at, where those single prints end. So a visual target down there. And that's if we get there, right? We're just setting context where might the market want to go if it continues selling. And I think that's a great spot to look, Hoag. So, for me, I'd be watching the reaction to 64.50s if we can get selling to continue there, because the market does respond to, these midpoints of these big volume candles. It does tend to respond there. But if the response is continued selling, I'm looking at that 64.28 area. as the target to the downside. On the upside, the high of that 30-minute candle is 64.86. And we saw in the overnight session, we looked up there and there was no buying, right? So volume so far for this session is trading back inside that candle, not just price, right? There is some selling. We do have some overnight inventory short. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at a retracement of some of this range, Hogue. It all happened pretty quick, where if you were a longer time frame market participant, you didn't really have a chance to build an inventory on that spike up. So I could see a little bit of a reversion before we continue. But they probably brought in April and just holding on to it. But we'll see here. Yeah, that's 64.50, 64.28. Two levels I'm looking at.
All right. So yeah, 64.50. That's a nice looking level as well. And again, you know, the profile on Friday, just like gold, just like, you know, the Nasdaq. I mean, it's a P-shaped profile. There was, you know, a big fast move to the upside, you know, a lot of volume on it, but no volume at specific levels. And then we just kind of hung up here. So it's kind of a short covering meets new longs coming in the S&Ps, because again, we added about, you know, an estimated 20,000 in open interest on Friday alone. Yes, that is correct. And, you know, just looking at the open interest over the past few sessions, we have been adding open interest overall. I'm going to go back to the daily here. Adding open interest overall all of last week, including the Friday before. So we've been adding open interest as price has been moving lower. So that makes a lot of sense on Friday when we got good news that not only was it new longs coming in, it was a lot of shorts getting squeezed out. And that kind of creates that P-shaped profile. So we're at the upper end of that. We're kind of in the upper end of that balance. We do have some possible unfinished business if we can get to come down again and recheck some of those levels off those single prints, off that 30-minute bar. I love the 64.50 level, that halfway of that bar. Thank you very much, Coach Jay, for that. And so overnight inventory a little bit short. If those shorts don't continue to see movement in their direction, we could see a move back at least I could see to settlement, maybe to last week's high, which is basically Friday's high, 64.96 quarter. I would love to take out this all-time high that occurred in the extended trading hour session, and then just see this market continue to move higher. But again, we don't get to choose that. We don't get to decide that. We don't get to predict that. We're going to trade what we see today. Thank you very much, Jay.
Absolutely.
And JD, crude news. Dude.
Crude news, here we go. Coming from oilprice.com. It's my new favorite crude oil resource, by the way. Totally free. That's why I like sharing it with you guys. Crude oil prices up slightly overnight after Federal Reserve Chairman Powell's speech last Friday. A little follow through to the upside. Reviving hopes for more rate cuts later this year. And there's also some supply chain issues happening through the Ukraine-Russia conflict right now. Over the weekend, Ukraine's stepping up attacks on the Druzhba pipeline, which carries crude from Russia to Hungary and Slovakia. 3 attacks so far on that pipeline. They're also stepping up attacks on they're targeting nuclear power plants also. So a little disruption supply helping boost crude oil prices up early this morning. And another quote from an ING commodity analyst. This quote coming directly from an ING commodity analyst says, uncertainty prevails as U.S. President Trump once again threatens to impose tougher sanctions on Russia unless there's a deal to end this war. So a lot of headlines coming from this Ukraine-Russia conflict that are affecting crude oil prices early on this week. So keep an eye on the news for you. Also, pardon me, we're keeping an eye on the news for you, and we'll be taking that crude oil opening range breakout trade in just a few minutes too. Let's get that poll up in the chat and see what time duration the chat wants us to take on that crude oil opening range breakout trade.
I'm going to predict a 5-minute.
5.5 minute. Let's do a 6 minute.
All right. Well, why don't we take a look at the crude charts here?
Let's take a look,
And
Hogue.
there's still so much, long-term kerfuffleation, 50 bucks, 76 bucks. We're right in the middle of it again. I mean, you could probably put a fib on there and we're right at 50%. So we're right in the middle of it with some potential changes in the overall market or in the fundamentals of the market with that information that JD was just talking about. But overall, I mean, still on the weekly, still very balanced. On the daily, you can go back for a while, and we're right back. We're right in the middle of where we've been for a couple of years, and the weekly kickoff levels are tightening. They're giving me more important levels closer to price as time goes on, which does tend to happen. We've got our weekly kickoff high 64.80. We've got our weekly kickoff lows $62. So they've both been moved closer to price, and I'm looking forward to seeing some play with one of those because again, that's going to kind of tell me that there's possible longer time frame participants that are going to adjust inventory at those levels. So, we were stuck between the 200 and the 100 session moving average. We broke out of that on Thursday, saw some continuation on Friday, possible continuation on Thursday. Jay, what do you think about that? Potential continuation. I think technically it's set up for it. We don't have rollover, or it's blurring of the volume and open interest information for the next couple of weeks. We added 4,400 in open interest on Friday. We kind of based on this daily chart that 200 session moving average as support, and we're starting to see this market continue. We're wrestling with the 20 session simple moving average on the daily chart now. We are one time framing higher in short time frame. In the longer time frames, we are still range bound, but in the short time frame, higher highs and higher lows. And, I think an encouraging couple of days of open interest. Thursday, we added 5,500. The estimate from Friday was for another 4,400. So we're seeing money coming into the long side here. How long how long is it until we get too long and we need some sort of a pullback, or are we really going to start to see some buying coming into this market because of that information? Jay, what do you think of this 20 session moving average we're bumping up against here?
Yeah, we're right against it here, Hogue. If we start to see some price acceptance above that, the 50 is up at basically $65 even. I'm looking at the August 6th candle, which was the highest volume candle we've had in August on the daily, and we're right about 50% of that as well. I think some of the news that JD is sharing, and we understand how crude oil moves, right? And it is a very headline-driven market. Some of the news that we heard pretty much all month in August was bearish for prices, and then we're starting to hear some things. And of course, you don't want things to go this way, but some escalations of war potentially, and that can affect crude oil prices. Um, from a technical perspective, Hogue, this looks like a rounding bottom on the daily. I'd be looking at some point maybe testing $66 in crude oil. Uh, is that this week? Is that next week? Is that 3 months from now? Because crude oil also does like to stay in a range. We'll see, but it does look like we've made a bottom so far in crude oil, and we do have crude open now. I think we are taking the 5 minute. Crude oil is opening at 8 a.m. Central Time. See what we got so
A
far.
little cup and handle maybe started there, Jay.
That's what it looks like, Hogue. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And I'm I'm not the best with trading technical patterns, right? I failed arts and crafts as a kid, so I color outside of the line sometimes. But yeah, from a technical perspective, I can see that. How do you trade a cup and handle? Would be my question. But that's what it looks like.
All right. So here's the 30. We are open now, so we'll be hawking this 5 minute opening range trade. We do have a slight session gap created now. All right. So here's the 30 minute. Do we have any overnight inventory? And I would say yes, just a little bit. Here's where we opened. Got a little short, got a little long. Maybe a little bit of overnight inventory to the long side. And again, we've just opened, and we do have a slight session gap from Friday. So that tells me The market is attempting to accept higher pricing. If we can't close that gap relatively early, gap rules apply. We're going to be looking for opportunities in the direction of the gap. Any reacceptance in value from Friday, or even sometimes even the range, could bring a value special situation play, which could bring price down to the low of value, which we're looking at on this platform is about 63.55. We're seeing the market rejecting value, rejecting the gap, the closing of the gap so far. But again, we've just opened. We do have a naked point of control that we checked in the overnight, not yet in the regular trading hour session. Makes sense to me that it's kind of hanging right around there on the open. So now we have tested that level in the regular trading hour session. 64.05 was that level, and there's space, albeit it's not a big move, but weekly kickoff high is 64.80, and then 66.26 a naked point of control. Much higher. So I'm really just watching to see if we're going to show rejection of Friday's highs and value or acceptance of Friday's high and value. Now, Friday's range was a 54 tick opening range. Excuse me, was a 54 tick session range, not opening range. The entire session was 54 ticks. So now if we do come back into value, come back into the range from yesterday, from Friday, my question is the juice worth the squeeze? So with such a narrow range and such a narrow area of value, you're really going to have to be precise with your entry and your trade location getting into something. If we reaccept, if we continue to reject, then I could see this market expanding to the upside and putting up a bigger range today. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I would agree with you, Hogue. Crude oil almost seems like a better swing trade than a day trade right now, just the way it's moving, especially with some of the tighter ranges. But of course, we're day trading here, so trade location definitely matters. Because you can be right about the direction, and then just run out of time, especially if we're talking about a 54 tick range for the session. So for what I've been seeing in crude oil, it almost seems like some of the better opportunity is finding a trade during the London session and maybe holding on to it. But we'll see what today brings. Every day is different. On the 30-minute, we are trending higher. The 20, 50, and 200 moving averages are all stacked long, which the 20 is above the 50, which is above the 200. It looks good. It's just what kind of momentum do we see for continuation of this move would be my question.
So the first target would be Jay's halfway through that high volume bar, about 64.36 approximately, 64.80 above that for the weekly kickoff high. If we are going to continue to see this market continue to rally, one thing that I do like about Friday's session, it was a normal variation, neutral day, but had a low excess high, a no excess high. This is a weak high, technical weak high, right at the high of the week. It put in the weekly high on a weak high, so it tells me that the upside auction isn't over yet. We're not seeing excess at the highs. We're seeing weak highs.
Real quick,
so it makes sense to me to look at this. Yes.
We have that 5-minute range about to close here in crude oil, 64.13 at the high, 63.96 at the low, in the minis at least. JD, I know you're looking at the micros. No trigger yet on a trade, but 64.13 at the high, 63.96 at the low.
And just a heads up, guys, we peeled a couple off on our gold trade at 2R. We bought two at 34.0780. Lock in some profits, and we have a free trade on in gold right now. I'm looking at the crude oil trade. Crude.
There's an iceberg sell order at the high of the opening range right now, 64.13. Almost 500 have traded there. All of them on the offer.
500 traded there since the open.
Since the 8 o'clock open, yes.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm looking at a volume profile from last night, and yeah, this 12 to 13. There's a ton of volume getting traded here. Interesting.
I haven't started working. Yeah, I haven't started working any orders yet. I've not started working any orders yet in crude. we like this trade? Are we taking this trade, or is this a no trade?
Look at all this volume piling up right here. I mean, I think it's still a trade.
All right.
Maybe we do it.
I just got that feeling we're gonna get suckered into a long here. It's gonna spit right in our face, you know.
Right.
Overall,
Yeah,
the
never.
delta's flat, but just at that 64.13 level, I mean, it's everything has traded on the offer there. Of course, I mean, that's just what happens on the highs, but that's a lot of volume there. And we're still seeing 73 on that offer there, and then about 100 at 64.20 on the offer. If we're going towards liquidity, it looks like it's above. I mean, there's 67 on the offer at 64 half. 64.78, 44 on the offer. Maybe seeing some liquidity down below as well. I mean, there's 63.40 for 81, 63 half, 63.50 for 74, 63.60 for 73. There's liquidity here. There's something going on.
Yeah, there is, Hoag. As soon as that seller steps out of the way up there, could be a pretty big move. But the question is when, right? How much inventory are they going to absorb up here? Because there definitely is a ton of volume. 2-3 minutes ago, there was 400 contracts traded in a second, right at that price, 64.12 to 13. So interesting spot here for sure.
Well, I'm working our stop to enter above the market at 64.15, our stop to enter below the market at 63.95. Again, we peeled off a couple of gold at 34.0870. Let me just double check that price. 34.0780. It's my dyslexia acting up. 34.0780. I'm joking about that. We're still short 3 micro gold. We got some decent profit in this trade right now.
What's the realized profit on that?
Realized 112, up 112. Unrealized up 200.
Okay.
Free trade though. Even if
Alright.
gold comes back and runs our stop, we're still up on the day. And just a heads up, guys, we are having a little bit of a technical issue in the back. So we're going to cut out a little early. We got about 6 minutes here. We're going to have to restart the stream at 8:15. So we're going to get out here just a few minutes early so we can get everything else set up for fast markets.
Okay.
All right.
Before
we do that, Hoag, we got 5 minutes. You want to break down Nasdaq before we go, just so we give everyone that before fast markets?
Yeah, let's do it real quick, guys. Thank you.
Real quick, take a look at it. So, the weekly is more range bound than showing me possible continuation like the S&Ps are. The daily, okay, we are pinned or pinched between the 50 session moving average and the trend line off these highs here. Very, very, very mechanical selling up here in short time frame. We're waiting for Nvidia today Wednesday after the close. There may be a lot of just kind of range bound trading, a lot of people just positioning and liquidating positions for that release on Wednesday. One time framing downside has ceased. Okay. We put in a higher low, put in a higher high. So we're more looking range boundy than anything else. Jay, is there anything you want to point out on the daily before we run quickly through the 30?
20 moving average, 23,525 is right at the high of that 30-minute candle from Powell's speech. So that is the line in the sand for me. 23,525. If we do get rotation lower, I'm looking at 23,400s.
All right. So in a very similar situation to the S&Ps, the big move to the upside. We do have single prints all the way down to 23,342.25. We've got the 200 session moving average. Jay, where was that on the 50 on the 30-minute chart again, or the daily chart? My bad.
On the daily, the 20 is at 23,525.
Okay.
23,525 on the daily.
525. Okay. So that's pretty close to the high of that candle there.
Yep.
All right. Overnight inventory, maybe a little bit short. Be patient, folks. We're still in range. We're still, maybe a little bit below value here, but we're waiting for a lot of important information still. And it seems like that every week, but just be cautious. We've got, NVIDIA on Wednesday, GDP Thursday, PCE Friday. Let's have a good trading day. All right, I guess we're, got to take care of some business. JD, Jay, what do we do?
Yeah, so we're going to cut this stream for now. We're going to start up another one just so we can get ready for fast markets. So do stay tuned. The new stream will be up on the YouTube page as soon as it is ready. Do us a favor, hit like, stick around, and we will be back for fast markets. We got Doom and Coach Dakota coming back for fast markets. We want to make sure we get these guys in here. So we will be back in just a few minutes. This is TopstepTV. Let's go.
Let's just give them a second back there.